Good morning on Tuesday, October 11th. It's time for another edition of the 359 podcast brought to you by CNET, fresh and tasty. This morning, it's episode 121 with Ben Fox Rubin and Alfred Ng. Good morning, guys. What are we talking about today?
Hey.
I'm fresh.
I am fresh and tasty, apparently. We're going to be coming back to the Samsung Galaxy Note 7. It's very big news that they've killed off the flagship phone. They stopped sales, and now they've just stopped production altogether, so we'll get to that in the show.
This might be the last time we talk about the Note 7.
I doubt that. We'll think of some excuse. So
The Note 7 is the next Harambe.
Zombie phone.
Right, it died and then it came back as a meme. We'll also talk about a rumor about Amazon potentially starting convenience stores, so that'll be interesting. And also one of the dumbest memes of 2016, selfie high fives. I don't really get it, but we'll talk about it on the show.
It's not even a high five though, but like
It's a my five.
oh my
Yeah,
God.
high five.
You're clapping.
Yourself. Yeah,
Selfie claps.
it's
I'm still gonna try it at some point, but
We should after the show, or maybe during the show. I don't know. So as always, send in your questions, comments. We'll try to get to as many as we can after the show, and let's get started.
All right. And here we go for the recording of the 359 podcast, episode 121 in 3, 2.
Welcome to the 359, where we talk about the top tech news of the day, plus whatever crap we want to throw in. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred Ng.
Okay, so pour out some liquor for the dearly departed Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Samsung confirmed Tuesday it will permanently stop making the troubled device after a worldwide recall didn't stop the phones from catching fire. Alfred, how bad is this for Samsung?
I think Samsung will still do fine as far as the Note 7 goes. I think it's dead in the water, obviously.
It's finished. Yeah, that's true. But you're right. Samsung, I think, still makes refrigerators and washing machines and televisions that don't catch fire.
Until everything else that they make is also catching on fire, I still think Samsung's phones are fine. It's very unfortunate that this happened to the Note 7, but I mean, they had to kill it. It had to be put out of its misery.
I don't know if you want to. I think you're arguing that they're gonna be able to hermetically seal the Note 7 and say, hey, this was a bad phone. We weren't able to do a good job with this one. But I don't know. Don't you think that this could be like a significant long-term reputational hit for these guys? They had already done a worldwide recall and weren't able to fix the problem. I mean, like, to me, that seems like a pretty big issue.
I think phone-wise, they're going to have to deal with a lot of PR hits over the next year or two. But, I mean, keeping in mind, though, Samsung also makes a bunch of TVs. They make washing machines, like you said. They make
a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
they're a huge, like, electronics conglomerate.
And then I'm saying, until those things start exploding, I think we'll be fine. They'll be fine, at least. Phone-wise, though, it's going to be a very high mountain for them to climb.
So what do you think phones... We should talk about what Note 7 people should get now that you shouldn't have your Note 7.
Well, the Galaxy S7 and the S7 Edge have not exploded. And
they're pretty similar.
They're, I'd say maybe 90% kind of the same phone.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't get the stylus, but at the same time, you're still going to get a lot of the same Samsung feeling from that one.
I've had mine S7. It hasn't exploded on me yet.
That's good to hear.
So, and if not that, and if you just don't trust Samsung at all anymore, I mean, I would recommend getting a Pixel phone.
Yeah, the Google Pixel. Yeah. I don't think it's hit the market quite yet, but you could pre-order it now. It'll come to you by, I think it's mid-October, I believe. So that's a pretty good idea. And then, HTC makes good phones, LG. You've got a lot of options out there if you want to stay within the Android universe.
Yeah, there's a lot of alternatives out there. The Note 7 dying doesn't mean the end of smartphones for you. Nobody panic.
So a little bit of public service. If you have a Note 7, Samsung and U.S. regulators strongly recommend you power it off immediately. Get in touch with the place you bought the device to find out about a refund or an exchange. Next, Amazon is reportedly looking into building small convenience stores. This news comes after a report a few weeks ago that the company plans to open a grocery pickup location in Seattle. Are these good ideas? Is Amazon pushing into brick and mortars?
I've never been to Seattle, so I can't say what their the state of their convenience stores are. But I know if it ever tried it in New York, it would not work out at all. There's a convenience store in every corner, and Amazon trying to push into that just isn't going to work.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely like a tough push for them because, as you said, there's an enormous amount of competition. But I mean, they try all sorts of things. Who knows?
And it just completely goes against, what Amazon was built on. The whole,
totally.
We deliver it to your doorstep, and now it's and that was the convenience of it all. And now it's, hey, you come to our store, and
They did build a bookstore, so I wouldn't completely write this one off and say, hey, it's never going to happen. So,
but how successful has their bookstore been?
Oh, it's mostly showrooming.
That's
I would
my
say.
point.
So, last with what little time we have left. High five selfies. Can you tell me a bit about this? What is this thing?
The favorite thing that I've seen. So people are trying to take selfies of themselves, giving themselves high fives, but they're not really high fives. It's just you clapping your hands.
Right.
But you're giving yourself a high five. But
how are you taking the picture while you're not even touching the phone?
You basically have your phone out and then move your hands really fast and hope that it catches it.
This is a horrible idea. It's a great way to break your phone. Do not do it.
I mean, if you have a Note 7, go ahead.
Right. Anyway, if you want to read more about these stories, check us out on CNET. I'm Ben Fox Rubin.
I'm Alfred Eng.
Thanks for listening.
We got a lot of conspiracy theorists in the chat.
About what?
The Note 7?
About the Note 7 and how this is just a big PR stunt. And
No.
Are there...
how other phones are guilty and...
a PR stunt from Samsung?
I don't know. I can only read so many. They're flying in.
Sabotage from Apple.
Apple sabotage. That's a pretty good conspiracy theory. I like that one.
I do have to ask our viewers, though, if any of you are keeping your Note 7s, please send me an email. I'm at alfred.ing@cbsi.com.
You should spell your last name.
It's spelled NG. It's also in the, our description?
It is.
Yeah, you can find it there. But if you're keeping it, send me an email. I'd love to talk to you about it and see why. Most of my friends who I thought were going to keep it are actually returning it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a safety issue.
I mean, no, his issue with it, I was like, why are you returning it now after all this? He's like, well, now it's actually banned from places. I can't go into
Oh, that's true. You can't bring it with you onto an airplane.
Yeah,
or
so
anything.
he's like, well, now I have to return it. That's why, because you can't go into places.
It's the new smoking.
But
be like, sir, you can't bring your Galaxy Note 7 here.
But again, if anyone watching this is keeping it, please send me an email. Again, it's alfred.ing, that's just spelled NG, @cbsi.com.
So I don't know if this conspiracy theory reference is going to be accurate for the commenters, but I remember when Coke came out with the new Coke, it bombed completely. They did all this taste testing. Everybody in the blind taste tests had said the new Coke clearly tastes better than the original Coke. They changed the recipe, and people were livid. They were absolutely super pissed off at Coca-Cola.
Because new Coke was Pepsi.
It was right. I mean, it
and
tasted
new Note
different.
7 is a grenade.
So needless to say, Coke went back to the original recipe, and sales went through the roof. And they asked him afterwards, they were like, oh, you guys did that on purpose. That was a publicity stunt. And Coca-Cola was like, we're not that smart and we're not that stupid. So if this has anything to do with a publicity stunt, I mean, Samsung would have to be threading the needle pretty impressively.
Well, I would say the difference between this one and the Coke story is that people actually probably got hurt.
Right.
So that kind of be a very bad stunt on their end.
Other than having a slightly more saccharine tasting Coca-Cola, yeah, for sure.
There's more than a few people presently watching on a Note 7.
Huh.
Okay.
So duck and cover.
Duck and cover, and my recommendation to you, as I've said on this show several times before, with the original Note 7s and now the recalled Note 7s, is you should power it off and return it as soon as possible.
Well, I'm not going to knock them for doing that. I'm legitimately curious though. Why are they watching it now and then planning on returning it later, or are they?
Hope so.
Just saying, this phone is so good that I'm willing to risk, this happening.
I mean, no such thing.
And if it is, what's so good about the phone that they want to keep it like.
It's a really good phone on its merits, other than the fact that it explodes.
I mean, like, how good would a phone have to be for you to take that
Deal
risk?
breaker.
Deal breaker.
Because for some people they are, and I'm legitimately curious, like, why is this phone like so good that like
Stop trying to convince people to keep these things.
I just want to know.
It's not. I can't have that way on my conscience.
Phone is a phone is a phone.
Anybody that is watching on a Note 7, please stop watching me right now. Turn it off.
Let's speculate for a second. Zach wants to know what they're going to do next. Do you think they're going to try to rush towards what would be the S8, even though we're probably not going to see anything called a Note ever again?
So I saw a headline yesterday that said they're not going to rush it out because they rushed out the Note 7 to try to beat Apple to the punch. They wanted to get the Note 7 out the door before the new iPhones came out.
Like a phoenix from the ashes, as
Right.
Dale says.
That's
So-
gonna be
and
the
that
new
was-
name. It's gonna be the
Phoenix?
Samsung Galaxy Phoenix.
That is a terrible idea.
Literally
You're full of
from
awful ideas.
literally
today.
from the ashes.
Right. So they don't want to do that again by trying to rush out production and then having another battery problem or something else. So when they do come out with the S8, they can't have two flagship phones that have completely conked out. So they want to, when they do come out with it, one would imagine that it would be during Mobile World Congress. I think that's in February or March. They want to make sure that they, dot all their I's, cross their T's, and make sure that this is a functional flagship phone. So I don't think that you're going to see the S8 early.
I don't think you're gonna see a Note again.
I think you will see a Note again.
I think
That's
it'll
my
kill off
feeling.
the branding.
I don't think so. I think what you're saying makes sense. I just don't think that they would do it. I think they will come out with a Note 8 next year.
I mean, they've spent a lot of time building up the brand, but like, it only takes so much to completely ruin it.
I
I think the hardware will still be the exact same
the
thing.
hardware was
but
really good.
I think they're
If
gonna
they
drop
could
the name.
If they could fix the exploding problem, it's a great phone. So we'll see what happens with that.
Samsung just dug themselves a 1,000,000-foot hole, in my opinion. According to Zach, they might lose all customers by the next set of releases for the phones and tablets. If you look at
I
the
don't
chat,
think so.
I don't think that's true because there are still some dedicated people
Samsung
who
is
live
the
and die maybe
biggest-
literally by their Samsung phones.
Samsung is the biggest smartphone maker in the world. There's no way that number goes down to zero, or that they might not even lose their number one spot. I think number two is Apple.
I'm with Alfred. I think they're just going to rename it.
I'm going to stand
an
with
easy
saying
fix.
it's going to stay. They're going to keep calling it the Note. I think everybody knows what that is, and I don't know what else they would want to
yeah,
call it.
everyone knows what it is now because of all these explosions.
Okay.
And then I think when the whatever new iteration of it comes out, everyone's going to be testing it on to see its battery and how if it explodes. Then I mean, it's all eyes are going to be on that.
Yeah, definitely.
it doesn't matter what any.
I just can't believe their recall. I can't believe they screwed up the recall. They did a worldwide recall
Yeah.
that was really embarrassing. Everybody was like, okay, you get one mulligan, no big deal, whatever. And then that one also screwed up. And it just, to me, it seems like they rushed out the recall too. I mean, that to me seems pretty obvious. And that's just really unfortunate.
Zejonix thinks that Otterbox should capitalize on this by making a fireproof case.
I love that idea. I think that's a really solid idea. So... yeah, Otterbox will have to get into the, bomb diffusion business or something like that.
Yeah. Props to David in the chat for bringing out the NBA Jam terminology. Boom shakalaka. I agree.
Wow. Whoa, we're going
It's on
way
fire.
back in the day. We're going,
He's heating up.
yes, NBA Jam references.
How many people in the
Best
chat?
podcast ever.
How many people in the chat are jumping back across the river to Apple after this? Honest question. Legitimate question.
Legit question.
Just curious.
I'd seen some tweets about the Galaxy Note 7 where it was people were saying, "Oh man, now Samsung's gonna make me get an iPhone 7 because they're recalling this," and I'm thinking they're not making you do anything.
There's
all
so
these-
many Android
so many other
phones.
phones.
There's so many more Android phones than the iPhone.
Somebody had a crying emoji where it's like, "I don't want to get an iPhone 7. Why are you doing this to the Samsung?" I'm like, again.
Go to CNET.com and find out all the current smartphone availability options.
There's so many options. Yeah.
Michael Brown, longtime dedicated viewer, listener, thank you for sticking around with us for so long. How much do you guys think the Pixel should have been sold for and why?
How much it should have been sold for?
Correct.
Oh God, what's the price on that
It's
thing?
like
$650,
$600, yeah.
the base price.
Yeah.
Too much.
What's wrong with that?
That's
You think that's too much?
I think
That's not
400.
competitive.
I think 400 to 500 would have been that's how much I would have paid for it.
I mean, they packed a lot of stuff into that, and they're trying to. I mean, in some ways, pricing is consumer expectations. You're trying to hit a certain market, so setting it at $650 as the base price also elevates it to the level of flagship phone.
Yeah, but most flagship phones have a carrier deal with it, where you know
Mm-hmm.
you get like some amount of money off, based off of that pricing. But with the Pixel, it's essentially only Verizon that you can do that with.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if I were to get it from the Google Play Store or anything like that, I think 400 to 500 would have been, maybe even 400 to 600 would have been like a normal price for me to pay for that.
I could have lived with 600. I think 400 is a little too low for that phone. I think they sold me on some of the, impressive features of it. And I'm certainly curious to see it when it reaches the office.
Yeah,
Maybe it's already here.
I'm like very excited to see the Pixel phone.
It's a great timing for Google too, because everybody now wants to see, and they have a bigger size. The XL is 5.5 inches, which is, I think, reasonably close to the size of the, what's going on, Brian?
Bob says Samsung, the Volkswagen of phones.
Yeah.
I think more accurately, the Yugo of phones right now.
We can't
unfortunately.
trust any of our multinational conglomerates to placate us with their stuff anymore.
I was never in here for that. I hate every product out there.
Right. Yeah. That's why we hired you.
Yeah.
Your hate of products is important.
I actually just use a carrier pigeon to
That's pretty impressive.
communicate.
Hey, good for you.
People jumping back to LG, people jumping back to the Stylo.
But they're anti-iPhone, it sounds like.
That's fine. That's fine.
think
like we
most-
said, you don't have to go to the iPhone.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And some people very not into the LG.
Yeah. I haven't spent much time with the LG phones. So I like the Flex. I thought that was a clever idea where it actually flexes a bit.
Let's recommend some alternatives right here on the spot. If you are stuck with the Samsung and it's time to finally bite the bullet, what models would you guys suggest?
Right. So we had
carrier?
mentioned by carrier. Most of the flagship phones are available for any of the carriers, I would say. So there's the HTC flagship phone. I think, what are they, on the HTC M9 at this point?
Yeah.
So that's a very good phone, very strong build. It's got a very good body, and it always gets good reviews on CNET.
If you don't have Verizon, or if you don't want to wait for the Pixel, I mean HTC makes like the Pixel. So,
HTC makes it's the manufacturer of the Pixel.
They're like the hardware behind it. So.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, at the very least, that they're good at like actually manufacturing a phone. I think if you want to stick with Samsung, as you said, the S7 and the S7 Edge have also been very well reviewed.
Or you can get the previous edition of the
Note.
Yeah.
The Note 6. I guess. Is it the Note 6? I think it's the Note 5.
They skipped past like the 6, didn't they?
They skipped the 6.
I think so, because this one was so good. They decided that they were going to make it.
What if the next one was the 6?
Right. To go back to the 6 and be like, sorry guys, we accidentally skipped it.
But if you want to just go back to the Note 5, I mean, it's a perfectly fine device.
Well, you brought with you a Note 8, right? It's right there.
Yeah. Top secret.
Top secret notepad.
Damn it.
Just do away with all smartphones.
Yeah.
Like I said it yesterday, let's go back to carrier pigeons.
Definitely.
That's what I'm using.
I don't know. I'm fine with my iPhone 6. I like my headphone jack. I like my iPhone 6 with the home button that doesn't work. I don't need anything new and fancy.
Yeah, I've also been avoiding this suggestion, but you can also get an iPhone.
Yeah. It's fine.
That's like kind of like the default like smartphone of what you should get.
If you still want the headphone jack, get the 6S. That's fine. I'll stick with that. All right.
Some of us still just use the phone as a phone. Sorry.
How dare you? All right. Are we going to call it?
Yeah, let's call it a day. Thanks for joining us.
Great questions. Great comments. Thanks a lot, guys. R.I.P. Samsung Galaxy Note 7. Okay. The 359 podcast is available on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, FeedBurner, Google Play Music, and of course on CNET.com. Thanks for watching, guys. We will be back tomorrow. See you around.